What's up YouTube, my name is Dest and I finally received this. In case you're wondering what this is called a servo body, and this servo body is used to get rid of this little fan right here. If you're wondering what this is called a servo motor, and this servo motor is connected to the stock exhaust with some cables, and the dust that this servo motor has is to open and close above, and that's used to control the amount of gases that the bike produces. And if you want to change your stock exhaust for an aftermarket exhaust, as I did with my SC Project one, you will need to get rid of these cables and this servo motor. I already changed my exhaust, but as you can see, I didn't remove the cables completely. They are still here. I tied them so they don't scratch my bike, but today I will finally be able to remove them completely and also remove this annoying servo motor, because even though it's not connected to anything anymore, it still works and it still opens and closes. And also once I get rid of it, I will get an extra space on my rear seat. So even though it's not a big deal, I want to get rid of it because a servo body it's only worth $50 or $60. And honestly, being able to finally remove these annoying cables and this annoying piece in order to get an extra space under my rear seat, I think it's worth it. So with nothing else to add, I will go for my tools and then we will begin with the installment of this servo body. This video will be useful both for the people that only want entertainment and also for the people that have a bike that has this servo motor and want to get rid of it too. The first tip will be to get rid of this and these bolts. And I'm doing this in front of my house, so I don't have a lot of tools, but I will try to do my best. This bolt is less accessible, so I will have to use an Allen. And as easy as that, we have the two bolts out. The next step will be to get the servo motor out of its place. As you can see, it already is moving, and we're going to leave it here for later. The next thing that I will need to do is to untie these cables. For this I will use some scissors. Okay, and now as you can see, both the cables are free. And the next thing that we're going to do is to take these cables out of where the servo motor is. Now I'm going to pause the video for a moment to tell you that if you want me to make a video on how to remove the stock exhaust and above, you can leave it in the comment section and I will get the stock exhaust installed again and I will prepare that video for you so that you can follow the whole process. With that said, what we need to do now is come back to the servo motor and we're going to unplug these cables. These have some clips, so we're going to have to do some strength on them and then pull from them. As you can see, this is the first one out. And that's the second one out. Now the servo motor is completely free from the bike, and now we need to get these cables out of this hole. These cables start at the servo motor, they go all the way through the fairings and they end up here, as you can see. What we need to do is pull from the servo motor so that the cables will get out through this hole. This is one of the hardest steps, if not the hardest one, because the space inside the fairings it's really tight, so it can get really hard to get these cables out of there. And you don't need any special technique or any special knowledge to do this, you just need time and, as I said, patience. One thing that I forgot to mention is that you can just easily cut the cables with some scissors, and that way you will need to go through this process of getting the cables out, but I prefer to do it this way because just in case I ever need the cables again for anything, I will have them untouched, and if I cut them I will have to buy new ones. I honestly cannot think about any scenario where I will need these cables again, but I like to prevent things. I'm a really preventive person, so if it's possible to do it without cutting the cables, I will try to do it that way. And honestly, I recommend you doing that way too, even though cutting the cables it's a lot easier and faster. But as I said, in case that you need the cables for anything else in the future, if you cut them, you will need to pay for new ones. As you can see, the cables are starting to come out a little bit, and this is a very hard task because these cables are not soft, they are rigid, and it's quite hard to get them through this very tight space. But as I said earlier, with patience, this is nothing too complicated to do. The hardest part to take off is the end of these cables because they have a hook shape and they are getting stuck with everything all the time. Also, another tip that might help you is that if you really struggle with this, you can dismount these fairings. You will take more time to do it, but it will give you a lot of less headaches. This is one of the first cables out. And as easy as that, we have the two cables out. Now we only need to take them out with the servo motor, and this is the whole piece out of the bike. Okay, so we finally finished taking the servo motor and the cables out. This is how the whole piece looks. It was a little bit annoying, but as I said, with some patience, this is nothing really hard to do. Anyone can do it at their own home. As you can see, I literally only have these tools and I was able to do it in less than 10 minutes. So it wouldn't be a problem for any of you. And for the last thing, we need to grab our servo body and we just need to plug it where we unplugged the cables of the servo motor earlier on this video. That is one cable plugged. And that is the second one. Now, with the help of a little bit of tape, we're going to put the servo body in a spot that it doesn't bother us. So as you can see, I have the tape here and I'm going to put it right there. And with that, the servo body is completely installed, and now if I turn on the bike, I shouldn't get an engine light. As you can see, the servo body works, because if not, this engine light would have stayed on, and it didn't, so that means that the servo body is doing its function. Now the only things left to do are to install our seats back, and to enjoy of this beautiful new exhaust that we installed to our bike.